Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my best foundations of 2017. I had to do a whole dedicated video for foundations because you would have just seen my best of beauty for the whole year of all the products that I want to feature, but foundation is one of my favorite things to try, and I review a ton on my channel, so I wanted to rank them for you guys because I know it can get a little bit confusing. It's like, what is your favorite foundation if you keep trying all these foundations? But these are the ones that really worked for me for my normal to dry skin. I'm doing this video with two other YouTubers here. I'm doing it with Samantha Jane, who has oily skin, and I'm doing this with Bailey B, who has combo skin. So we're all sharing our favorite foundations for you guys, and it's going to cover all skin types. Whatever your issue is, we're going to give you our favorite foundations of the year. So please go check out their channels. Tell them that Cheryl sent you. I have collabed with Samantha before recently on my channel, and I know you guys are going to love both of them, so definitely check them out. And we're going to hop right into my favorite foundations of the year. I narrowed it down to 7 foundations, which might seem like a lot, but honestly, there was a lot that were tied. I can narrow down my top foundation for you guys, but it was hard to kind of place these other ones in position because they're really good and it's hard to distinguish between small little factors like that. But these all I would 100% repurchase and recommend to anyone who has my skin type. My number 7 spot is in the lowest ranking spot, only because this might not necessarily work for everyone with dry skin. This would be more normal to dry, slightly dry, or if you have dry skin like me, using an oil underneath this makes it beautiful. So I definitely have to add oil to the Fenty Beauty foundation to make this work for my skin type. So if you are similar to me, I would 100% recommend this with an oil. On its own, not so much for me, but with an oil, it really does make this beautiful. I had to mention it in my last spot just because if you do have dry skin, I don't think this will necessarily work for everyone, so it's one of those ones I would recommend sampling, but if it can work for you, it's an amazing, amazing foundation. So I have my shade 290, which is a neutral undertone. This is for when I'm tan. Beautiful color, beautiful finish. It has that soft matte finish, which is my personal favorite for a foundation. I think it looks like skin. I'm wearing a soft matte right now on my face, which is my number 1, which you will have to stay tuned to see, but this is my number 7 spot. Number 6, I wanted to mention a stick foundation, which is my favorite stick foundation that has released, and it's the Hourglass stick foundation, the Vanish stick foundation, and I have mine in warm beige. The only thing about this that is a negative for me is the price and the amount of product I do have to use to get the coverage I like, but the finish of this, the convenience of this, it's so nice. So it's definitely one that I personally would repurchase. I use warm beige, as I said, and it's a beautiful color. Stick foundations in general are harder for dry skin, I feel like, and this one's definitely the stick foundation I would recommend for those with dry skin. In my 5th spot is the Marcel Flawless Skin Fusion Foundation. When I fell for this foundation, I fell hard. So this is a great medium buildable foundation. I feel like, I'm looking at all of them, every single one of my foundations is medium buildable to full. I don't like full coverage foundations straight off the bat, like super full coverage. I love a medium buildable to full coverage foundation, and these all are that. They're all that. That's that's what I like. So this is one of those ones that looks beautiful as a medium, easily buildable to full, which is something that I look for. And I have 3 colors because I need this for every shade I'll ever be, and this definitely can build up to full coverage. Great foundation from the drugstore, and this is oil-free, all-day wear, hydrating, hypoallergenic. It's perfect for those with dry skin who want something full coverage, and highly recommend this. My 4th spot foundation is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Foundation. This took me by surprise. I got this after I was using the YSL All Hours, which I did like on my skin, but because the alcohol content was so high for the price of that foundation, I ended up returning it. And this one I think is great for those with normal to dry skin as well. And I feel like a lot of people will be able to use this depending on their skin type. It has an SPF of 20 in it. I have it in 2 different colors. I have Golden Nude 13, which is my natural skin tone, and then I have it in Pecan number 18. So this is another full coverage long wear foundation, which I love. You can also have it as a medium coverage. It's buildable, so you can layer it up, which is essential for me. And I would say this is my 4th spot because I do have 3 that I wanted to mention that make my pores and my skin just look a little bit more flawless. So we're going into my top 3 now. My 3rd foundation, it didn't release this year. I just discovered it this year. And this works really well for me, though I do feel like you might need to also do an oil or something like that for this foundation, though I feel like this still works for pretty much every single skin type. It's MAC and it's their Pro Longwear foundation. And this is my favorite foundation that MAC makes. I'm in NC 40 when I have a tan, which I don't right now. And I find MAC foundations are hard for colors. That's why I don't typically use them. But this one, when I do have a tan, is the perfect color. You can see this NC40 compared to other MAC NC40s, and this is definitely more neutral, which I need for my skin because I'm definitely more neutral. I don't pull too yellow, I don't pull too pink. It's just a perfect color for me. And this makes my skin look so flawless, poreless, and I don't have to do really anything extra. That's why this stands out to me. It wears so beautifully and it's very thin. I always equate MAC foundations to being thicker, like Studio Fix, but this one, something about it, it just sits so beautifully on the skin, sits thin on the skin, but gives you that flawless just look. So it's definitely a MAC foundation that I recommend, which I don't do too often because honestly the coloring is poor in my opinion, but this one, there's something about it. If you're my coloring and my kind of skin type, you gotta check out the Pro Longwear. I was sleeping on that for a long time, but it's such a beautiful foundation. My number 2 spot goes to this baby right here. It's the Natasha Denona Foundation X Full Coverage Fruit Complex Foundation. I love Natasha Denona. You have to make sure you shake this up well. I have it in shade 40, which is neutral light. It has a medium red undertone. This is really nice for when I naturally get a tan because when I self-tan, I am more golden, but when I have a natural tan, I definitely have more red to my skin. So this is perfect for those kind of times when I do have more of a natural color going on because I do have a bit more red when I do tan. This is really nice for anyone with dry skin. It's very hydrating. It gives you that flawless, poreless, beautiful finish to the skin. It's so amazing. I was wearing this in my Ulta haul, and honestly for video, it's one of the top foundations for video. It looks so nice, and Natasha Denona is a makeup artist. She obviously curated this for her clients, and it's just a great formulation. This is made in Italy. I've used so much of this. There's something about this foundation. This was actually hard for me to decide whether it was my favorite foundation because I love it so much. So I would recommend checking this out. It took me by surprise this year. I honestly had no intention of really picking this up, but when I did, it was, I don't know, it's a lot of things that I had no intention of picking up, and then when I try like it randomly, it's like, wow. That's what happens to me, and that's one of those wow moments that I definitely recommend if you have dry skin. My favorite foundation of the year, I don't think this will come as a surprise to you guys. It's the Dior Forever Perfect Everlasting Pore Refining Effect Makeup. And it does everything that says. The only thing that I don't like about this foundation, it oxidizes really bad on me, especially my darker self-tan color. It's 021, which isn't too dark on the foundation spectrum. Usually I'm around a 40, as you guys know, with any kind of my self-tan shades, but this is 21, which I feel like is pretty light. But on my skin, it really does oxidize quite dark. Even with that in mind, it's still my favorite because if I know that it's going to oxidize, I can tell what color I'm going to be after. The formula is so beautiful that I'm willing to work with it, so that's saying a lot. You have to make sure you shake this well. and I have both of these mixed. I have 10, which is much too fair for me, but when I do 2 pumps of 10 and 1 pump of 21, that gives me my natural skin tone, which is what I am right now. And when I'm tan, I'm the 21, but this gives that soft matte finish to the skin, but it looks like skin. It's not overly matte in the slightest, but it's enough of a matte finish that it really does smooth out the skin, because I find with my skin, if I have something too radiant, as much as I like a radiant finish, it doesn't do anything for my pores, which I have a problem with. This is the best of both worlds. It's amazing, and I would say what looks similar to this on my skin is, surprise, surprise, my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow foundation. And this is still tied top spot with this Dior, but probably more so still my number one is the Pro Glow from L'Oreal, which surprised me after so many foundations I tried out this year. I still went back and ended up trying my Pro Glow just to see how it compared. Still my favorite. Number one favorite foundation ever. It's so good. And the only thing that turns me off about this foundation now is the alcohol content in this is quite high, just like the YSL All Hours, which L'Oreal falls under that umbrella. YSL is one of their luxury brands, so I find the formulations kind of similar on my skin, though the YSL All Hours was more matte. This is more glowy, but I don't mind that it has that alcohol content in it since it is from the drugstore. If it had this formulation for being a high-end price, that's what bothers me. So I don't reach for this as often, because if I were to wear that every day, it would slightly dry out the skin because of the alcohol content. But if you're going to be using this, if you want something medium buildable to full coverage, a beautiful finish, smoothing out the skin from the drugstore, good price, then I would recommend the L'Oreal Pro Glow. Works really nicely for dry skin, just not long term because of alcohol content, so I needed to let you guys know about that. But it's still on my skin. How it looks is my absolute favorite. But I have been reaching for my Dior Forever more often than anything. It's something about this with the soft matte finish that I really like over anything too glowy or too matte. It's the soft matte. So beautiful. So I had to mention this in my number one spot, though I still been using my L'Oreal Pro Glow, just not as much because I obviously have been testing out a lot more products. That is everything for my favorite foundations of 2017. I know I had a bunch to go through. I tried limiting down to 5, but I couldn't. There is some I had to mention for my normal to dry skin people out there. If you're looking for some great foundations to try, these are all tried and true, hands down favorite, would repurchase over and over. Great foundations. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out Bailey and Samantha if you have either combo or oily skin or just some fantastic channels to watch. You'll definitely love their content, so please go over and tell them that Cheryl sent you, and I'll see you guys in my next video.